Coming up on this episode of Mind the Game.
We have a substitute teacher, Tyrese Haliburton, man. Welcome to the show.
I'm excited to be a part of it, but I told him I'm only doing it if I get to ask one certain question to Bron.
Obviously, you evolved as a player, obviously. As overrated as you are, or as everyone would like to put, which is ridiculous.
It's so funny you bring up that in-season tournament game because if we win that game, do we ever trade for Pascal? I don't know.
One of your greatest assets that no one wants to coach it is the jump pass.
I jump to make a read, but I feel like I always jump with a plan more times than not.
You can't tell me that Jokić is not all NBA. Now, all of a sudden, because he's missed 30 games, you can't tell me he's not a first team all NBA.
I think it's something that will be adjusted. I think a big reason for that is Wemby. I have a great story. I've never told anybody this story before. So we're at the Olympics. I'm sitting there, I'm like, oh, no.
Oh my goodness, here we go. Mind the Game is back, season 3. And we have a substitute teacher host in the building today, taking the place of Steve Nash that's in Europe covering a bunch of NBA games and things of that nature. And we can't get a hold of him, we can't find him. So, to our favorite New York Knicks fan, y'all favorite player, we decided to bring on Tyrese Haliburton, man. Welcome to the show, bro. We happy to have you host these 2 episodes with us, bro. How you doing, man?
I'm good, man. I'm good. I'm excited to be here. Obviously, I always tune in. You and Steve talking hoop. I'm excited to be a part of it. I wanted to bring up just, bro, how you've been playing lately. It's been ridiculous to see at your big age, the way you've been hooping, averaging 23, 6, and 7. This year, 31 players in history have played after their 40th birthday, and only 10 have played over 1,000 minutes, but only 5 have averaged over 10. That is insane. You 24, 7, and 7 since you turned 40. Michael Jordan averaged 22. Karl Malone 13. The real host, Steve Nash, 8 games over 40, 7 points and 6 assists per game. So I just want to ask, how are you able to still play at this level at this age?
Bro, it's very fascinating to me, and it's kind of weird too at times. It's times where I wake up on game days and I'll be like, I don't got it, man. I don't have the energy. I'm tired. I don't know how I'm gonna be able to work up. Just to. The that you need to get through a 48-minute game or however long you're on the floor. So. It took a lot out of me, obviously, getting ready for the season, obviously, is well documented, my injury to start the season and missing the missing the preseason, missing training camp, missing the first 14 games of the season and, just trying to get my back and my body back, according. So, that was tough, seeing if it was going to be able to respond. And I don't know, man, to be playing at the level I'm playing at, just turned 41, a couple weeks, 2 weeks plus, ago, and going out there and playing and feeling good. I played in 2 back-to-backs this past week, played 5 and 7 nights, and I didn't know if I was going to be able to get through them. And I came out of 5 and 7, 6 and 9, feeling really good. And it's, I don't know, man. I'd be like, I don't even know how I'm doing it. So I'm just trying to squeeze as much juice out of the lemon, out of the orange, out of whatever that's left as much as I can, and just continue to go out and play the game that I love, man.
Nah, it's crazy because even I'm 25. I have days on those back-to-backs where I'm just like, oh my man. God. Especially the travel back-to-backs. we play the day, you have to fly, land, and then you have to, and then no shoot around. You're just kind of like, I got to get through this day. So I can't imagine. Right. I think about that all the time as I get older, how things are going to change. And I'm curious for you, as you've gotten older, when did that first kick in where the back-to-backs, it was kind of like a drag, the first time you noticed, this is tough.
I don't, obviously, throughout your career, like you just said, depending on the schedule, depending on if you're flying from one, time zone to the next time zone, depending on what time you get back home or get to the next city, will have some factors on how you feel that next morning. But, I would say probably like over the last like 3 years, 3-4 years, it's just like, it didn't matter if I was coming home. It didn't matter if we was going to a different city. It didn't matter the time zone, just, the back-to-backs they wear on you just because of the travel, all the minutes I've played, all the cities I've continued to go to, each and every year. And I think one thing that doesn't get talked about a lot as well too is like all the different like beds that we have to sleep in.
That's the worst thing.
Yeah, that's hard on your body. Different pillows, different beds, different. That is taxing on your body too. So just trying to find some type of pattern, some type of comfort. When you're going from different cities, different time zones. Coming back to your own bed. So. I would say over like the last 3 years, Reese, man, just, trying to figure it out, how can I get my body acclimated? How can I get my body recovered? How can I get my body as fully it's not going to get to 100. You're not going to get like a full gas tank, on those back-to-backs, but you could try to get as close, to 100 as possible to go out there and perform. And you hope that on that back-to-back, maybe some shit talking gets started early in the game that'll get you going too.
I need something to get me going, for sure.
Yeah, I need something to get me going. Maybe the ref look at me crazy. Maybe it's a fan in the stands, say something crazy to you. That'll also get you going too.
Yeah, no doubt. I'm still in that same boat. I think like in that same breath, what I always wonder for you, and especially for, like I always think about for myself as I get older, how is my game gonna adjust once I start to slow down? Because obviously we play so fast. I'm a guy who gets the ball. I want to run. And I think back to like my early days watching basketball, like you in Cleveland and Miami, and the pace that you're playing at to where now, like there's obviously been an adjustment for you.
Yeah.
How have you went about that as you've gotten older, adjusting your play style to be less predicated on that speed and more methodical and, using your physicality and stuff like that?
Yeah, I think for me it's just about like having like growth mindset, understanding like the game of basketball evolves and the game of basketball changes, and you have to be able to see the table turn, and you have to be able to evolve with it if you want to continue to stay abreast to what's going on with the game. So, like you said, my first 7 years in Cleveland, them first few years, the game was, methodical. It was slow. It was slower pace. It was a lot of, bigs, two bigs, sitting in the paint, so it'd be 4 total sitting in the paint out of the 10 guys on the court, and then as the 2000s kind of got more to like the 2008, 9, then you kind of had like the Phoenix Suns, you had the Spurs who started to open up the game, and then, we started to open up the game in Cleveland with, our backcourt and the way we used to run and pick up the pace. And then I moved to Miami as well, and then we started to pick up the pace. We started to play more of a widespread offense where we had Chris Bosh, play a lot at the 5 with Shane Battier and myself and D Wade and Chalmers or Ray Allen or whatever, So, and now obviously, you playing in Indiana and seeing how the pace itself today has completely changed. You have to be able to kind of adjust with the time while you're getting older, and how can you, still be effective, with the game changing, and so for me, it was like, okay, how can I still be effective, off the ball? My usage rate is down a lot more now today than it was in the past as far as just handling the ball. So how can I still be effective on the court? Being able to slash from, the 45 or, setting pick and rolls and trying to get behind the defense. And now I know what's really good with my game is once I get the 4-on-3, I know how to make those plays. If you put 2 on the ball, if, AR get doubled, off a pick and roll, or if Luka gets doubled off a pick and roll, I know how to master the game that way. Started to define my low post game, understand I'm a threat there. I'm closer to the basket. So how can I draw a double team? So I think the most important, Reese, man, as you continue to get older, and your body, you listen to your body. How can you still be effective on the court, but also just having a growth mindset to know that, listen, it's 2026 right now, which sounds crazy to me. I came in 03, but the game in 2029 could look different than right now. Yeah. So you have to have that type of growth mindset. And, it's funny, it's a great segue to, your question of, how you guys play in Indy, and from the time that you got to Indy when you came from SAC to the time it is now, how did it change? How did you guys get to that like random but not random, chaos but not chaos, structured offense to, it's kind of hard for guys to guard you guys?
Yeah,
Where'd that come from?
It's so funny because I rarely ever even think about how we started. Like it feels like so long ago. But like when I got traded with Buddy and Tristan, we were going somewhere that had no identity, right? They were restarting by making that trade and trading Sabonis for me. We were restarting everything. And I remember when I got there, we played Cleveland the first game, and Rondo was like, "Good luck." Talking about playing with RC. He goes, "Good luck," And I'm like, "What is he talking about?" And the thing was, me and Buddy, we didn't know any of the plays. So we had played like a day or two after we got traded. We played Cleveland. We broke the Pacers record for scoring in a quarter. The first quarter we played in a Pacers uniform, and really what it was. Honestly, thinking about it, we played a lot of buddy ball. You know what I mean? Like me and Buddy were just come set the blur screen. I'm gonna come off. I'm gonna throw it to you. If you don't got a shot, throw it back, and then blur again. And we're just gonna play off this. And it was like we didn't know the other guys. Like we were really young at the time, and like a lot of those guys were really establishing their self as well. So we kind of I remember we were playing Minnesota, like one of my first games in Indiana. And me and Buddy are just passing the ball to each other the whole game. And Torian Prince on the sidelines like, "Hey man, y'all know there's other players on the team." I'm like, yeah, I guess that's a good point. I didn't realize that we are just throwing the ball to each other. But I felt like establishing that when we weren't good, allowed us to go into that following year and RC to pull me aside and just be like, "Hey man, I don't want to call plays. I want you to dictate what we do more. I want to play more random. It's harder to scout that way." And so we just kind of ran with that. And I feel like Buddy was a big part of that. And early in my career in SAC, my rookie year, I hated it because I was like, Buddy's always in the way. And you know what it is when a dude wants to run towards the ball, they just want the ball. And that annoyed me. But then I realized, this is a real weapon, especially in the half court as my one-on-one game has really grown from where I was early in my career. But I needed that blur screen to give me openings to really attack and learn from that. So I feel like that, him doing that, RC really adjusted to what we were doing. And then we just had to add pieces that really complemented what we did in a correct way that has allowed us to now build, what we have offensively.
Yeah, and I think we should give a lot of praise to RC on recognizing what he saw with that chemistry between you and Buddy when y'all first got there and realized, wow, this could be a weapon that could be sustainable. So now let's get the pieces around Tyrese. Let's get the pieces around, what I'm thinking, and I know Tyrese can execute that, And, I think back to like our in-season tournament championship game. Like you guys played a totally different game, than you guys play now.
Yeah.
And you guys were still playing fast. Like you were still getting the ball. Obviously you was on the heater. The game before what you did to Milwaukee was, one of the best performances you had, and you guys were rolling. But I feel like you guys are even evolved from that moment, from when we played you guys in in-season tournament championship a few years ago. And do we think it is like, obviously you evolved as a player, obviously, as overrated as you are, as overrated as you are, as everyone would like to put, which is ridiculous. Do you think it also complemented too, just like, RC and the front office is like, okay, getting the right pieces around you too, to be able to, you guys play 12 guys at times, know, and, when TJ comes in, the pace keep the pace going. You guys are the pacers for a reason, and you guys keep that pace going. Do you think, obviously, that had a lot to do with it too?
Yeah, no doubt, man. Like, it's so funny you bring up that in-season tournament game because I think about that game often because we were playing so well up until that point. If we win that game, do we ever trade for Pascal? I don't know.
Right.
Because
I forgot all about that.
Like I didn't play well. You guys you came out, you blitzed. I still remember like it was yesterday, man. Like I came off the ball screen. I hadn't turned the ball over in 3 games. I was rolling. I came off. You were the MIG. I'm like, I'm finna hit this pocket. And you ran through and stole it. And that was before the take foul. So I just grabbed you. And you looked at me and I looked at you. And I was like, oh shit, like we in trouble. This is gonna be a long night. Cause I was like, it's hard. Like I'm coming off a blitz and I think like Cam Reddish might've started on me or Vando.
Yeah.
And then I had AD in a blitz with you as the MIG. It's it's almost impossible for me to make that pass. And with me, I struggled that night, and we didn't have anybody else who really, got us going that night.
Right.
And so I think that was eye-opening to our front office in that moment to be like, we need to get another guy. And I feel like that game is the catalyst for getting a guy like Pascal. So it's funny you think about that. Like, I would have loved to win that game, but I think losing that allowed us to build what we have.
And, for sure.
Yeah, and I think adding Pascal, like Andrew Nembhard coming into his own. We traded for Aaron Nesmith. We traded for Obi. We got all these pieces that go alongside the way that we want to play. And I feel like that is really, they've done a great job of constructing our roster, and I feel like it's allowed us to have a lot of success.
And now over to our director, Jason, for a word from our partner, DraftKings.
Thanks to DraftKings for sponsoring the show. The NBA never stops delivering. 40-point quarters that rewrite the narrative of the game, triple-doubles that remind you why you fell in love with basketball, buzzer beaters that completely flip the standings, and when guys like Kobe White, Jalen Williams, or Tyler Hero take over, those are the moments that make the season so special. We've teamed up with DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NBA, and they've built something that lets you get closer to all of it. Same game parlays let you stack your favorite plays from a single matchup, and new plays get $300 in bonus bets if your first bet hits when you bet just $5. Minimum odds of -500 required. The best part about DraftKings is how it pulls you deeper into what's already happening on the court. Their live betting lets you jump in on player props or games as they're happening. You're not just watching anymore, you're reading the game differently, catching the momentum shifts, the matchups, all the little things that really matter. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now using code MIND to bet $5 to get $300 in bonus bets if your first bet hits. DraftKings, the crown is yours.
Playing 18 seasons in the NBA, I've lived in and out of hotels for what seems like my entire life. I can't tell you how many times I've gotten in the same generic elevator, walked down the same generic hallway, and set my bags down on the same generic chair. So anytime I travel now, I'm looking for a more unique experience, which is why I check out Airbnb first when I'm planning a trip. I've done everything from cabins for trips in the mountains to beach houses. I want a big kitchen, a spacious living room, and a solid outdoor space. And if there's a hot tub, that's a bonus. When it comes to travel, staying at a home on Airbnb is just a better experience because of the home-like qualities they provide. And hosting your home on Airbnb can give that feeling of home to others. If you're heading out of town for a big game or sporting event, why not let your home become part of the excitement? By opening your space to fellow fans, you're giving them the comfort of home and earning yourself some extra income while you're away. Your home might be worth more than you think. Find out how much at airbnb.com/host.
Like one of your greatest assets that is kind of like no one wants to coach it is the jump pass. Every time when I was a kid, all my coaches say, do not leave your feet to make a pass. Do not leave your feet. It's either going to be a turnover or whatever it is, and that, you get in trouble for it. Get on the line. If you jumping past the ball, like how did you perfect that to the point where, like your jump pass, I see you make it. Obviously I play with Luka. Luka jumps, hold, see who's the MIG, like you see, is he gonna stay? Is he gonna stay? No, or I could go skip it to the corner. If he doesn't stay with the big, then I can hit the big. Like, how did you kind of change the misconception of like that pass being so dynamic? And like, is that something that you've always kind of done?
Yeah, no, honestly, I blame people like you, like for why it's that way. Like growing up, I watched a lot of NBA basketball. That's like the main thing I watched, So I would see guys like you, and my dad loved like Magic, so we'd always watch old Magic highlights and stuff. Yeah. And I'd see them do that, and I understood, oh, this is a way for me to pass the ball. And as I was always a taller kid. So as guys got taller as well, it was just a way for me to always be seen over the defense. Like I felt comfortable making that read in the air. And I know coaches say they don't want to teach it, and it was like kind of like taboo in a sense. But for me, it was just a way for me to hold the ball longer, to make reads like you're talking about with Luka in the MIG. And I feel like as I got older, and I think back to like my sophomore year of college, where I really feel like when it came to the pick and roll, not that I had perfected it, but that I was really an elite pick and roll operator, was coming off the pick and roll. And I I've never been comfortable as a guy playing on my heels. I don't like backing up and kind of like picking the ball up and stepping through to make that read. That just feels so like, I feel old doing that. Like I'm athletic enough to make that read in the air. And I think that's a good point, what you're making. Like, I never understood like MIGs and seekers and all these different reads. Just reading in the air was always how I wanted to do it. I don't jump to make a read, but I feel like I always jump with a plan more times than not. When I'm in the air, I'm thinking, what are my outlets? 1 and 2. And then if you take 1 and 2 away, fuck it, I gotta find a third one, I gotta figure it out. But when I jump, I feel like I always have a plan. I feel like that's the thing that coaches and people, when they teach it, if you're gonna jump, have a plan. If you don't have a plan, then don't jump. Yeah.
And I also think too, like your game has a jump rhythm to it. Like even when you're on the ground, you're skipping, you side skip dribble, you crossing, skipping. Like it has a jump element to it, even when you're on the ground. So a jump pass for you is just in rhythm, you know. I would be remorse if I didn't ask. Obviously, we're talking about, you know, you playing and, you know, we talk about the in-season tournament or whatever case may be. But, you know, I want to kind of get an update on, you know, the rehab process. You know, obviously the last time we've seen you on the floor was Game 7 of the NBA Finals. You know, you come into the game, boom, 3 straight threes. You know, I'm a big time fan of yours, so I was going crazy. You talking shit, popping your shit, and I know how you feel, you know, doing that. Like, you know, from that moment, obviously, to today and everything in between, like, how have you done with the rehab? How have you done with the processing of rehabbing, you know, watching the games, you know, from the sidelines? Have you learned some things? Have you, like, you know, kind of take us through the process?
Yeah, well, I'm approaching week 31 here, so almost going on 8 months. Man, I feel really good. My body feels really good. Just started playing like 3-on-3 and 4-on-4 full court. That's been good to like be with the interns and stuff. It's been funny because as I've started to play with the interns and, you know, Gennaro Pargo being one of our player development guys, I'm playing with these guys and I feel so nice. I'm like, oh, I could play an NBA game right now. And then the other day, we had like the low minute guys come and play with us. So we had like our 2As, Ethan Thompson, Cam Jones, Benedict Mathurin still, he's getting back from injury. So I'm guarding Ben. First play, he comes down, hezzy, shoots a 3. And they're like, go at him. And he's like, his leg. And I'm like, hey, bro, like, I'm fine. Like, attack me like normal. I got to see where I'm at. He hezzied me one time. He was at the rim. I was still at 3-point line. I'm like, oh, I still got some time. You know, like I got to give myself some grace, understand it's going to take some time.
Yeah, for sure.
But I think the biggest thing is like, I really am glad for where I am. I'm thankful for it. The process has sucked, man. Like, you know, there's been good days, bad days. There's days where I sit there and I just keep asking, like, why is this happening to me? It's hard for me to understand in this moment, but I understand that it's allowing me to grow in different ways, to grow in my faith, to grow in all these different ways that have been good for me. I think seeing the game of basketball, I'm watching it in a different light. Like, I think it's different when you're getting ready to play like a team like Boston, for example, and they're like, okay, we got Payton Pritchard. I'm like, okay, he's nice, but all I'm focused on is how can I get a stop? I'm not thinking about how he making his reads and stuff. And I was watching him the other day and just the way that he gets to guys' bodies at the rim, that's really something that I'm trying to focus on through my rehab, through my time to get back, is just being more physical. Like, bro, I'm up right now today. I was 180 pounds on Game 7 day. I'm 210 right now. Like, I'm up 30 pounds, bro. And obviously, as I start to run, I'm gonna get that off me. And some of it's not like good because, you know, I've been drowning my sorrows and cookies and ice cream and stuff. But I think I see that, and it's just a way for me to be more physical at the rim, to get more free throws. I think that's important versus just slowing the game down. Peyton's one of the guys I watch. I see the way he can get to a guy's chest at the rim. I think AR is like the perfect example. The way that he is so physical and can get to the free throw line. I remember when we were at the World Cup together, I used to always be like, bruh, I don't understand how you shoot all these free throws. Like, I'm a point guard. I play 40 minutes a game. I play way more than you. I can't even touch the free throw line. He's like, Tyrese, I don't think you're doing a good job of getting the guys' bodies. Like, he was real honest with me, and I didn't understand at the time. But as I've watched you guys play more, watched him play more, I'm seeing the way that he just does such a great job of getting the chest, tangling arms, like making such all these like perfect reads to get to the free throw line. Is just something that I'm really trying to focus on adding through rehab and just as I watch the game.
No, that's great. And I think our fans going to definitely be excited to hear your update and hear where you are and know that, like you said, that's growth mindset right there. Just like, watching other guys, seeing ways you can implement your game or implement what they've doing into your game when you come back. But obviously the game miss you. And we look forward to whenever that time come back when you put that uniform back on. And that's a great segue to kind of our next conversation, Reese, is like the 65 game minimum, and our game is different. Obviously, they wanted to implement that rule in because of, load management, I guess, late season guys not playing or, back-to-backs, a lot of the big guys wasn't playing. But, sometimes if guys are not able to play, the guys are literally not able to play. It's not like we're like shitting on, national televised games or, whatever the case may be. But I mean, I'm looking at this list right now. We got one of our biggest names, Nikola Jokić. We got Giannis, we got Wembanyama. We got, Steph that missed games, Kawhi that missed games, Sangoon, obviously AR, my teammate. Jalen Williams is out again. J-Dub is out again. How do you think that's going to like impact, going into the future? You got guys going to miss all NBA nods because of that. When you can't tell me that Jokić is not all NBA now all of a sudden because he's missed, 30 games. You can't tell me he's not first team all NBA. This guy's averaging 29, 13, and 14 or some shit like that. So like, how long do we go with this and how is it going to affect, not only today's conversation, but also like individual guys' legacies? Like, it's a topic of conversation.
Yeah,
I
think that's the biggest thing, bro, is the legacy talk. I think that's the most important. And I think when this was first implemented, I get the idea. We want more guys to play. And I was known as one of the first guys to say I hated it because the year the 65 game rule was implemented was my contract year. I had to play 65 games to make All-NBA to be eligible for the Supermax. And I said that I didn't like it at the time, and I still feel that way.
I definitely don't like it.
Yeah, I've talked with Commissioner Silver, and like we talked about how like from a financial standpoint, it can only hurt so many people in that year. Guys who are like me at that time. It was me, Ant, and LaMelo at that time that were trying to get that Supermax. But I think that's the biggest point is legacy talk, because what I think about is in 20, 30 years when I'm not playing and I'm hearing my kids argue about they want to compare eras or something, and they're going over the list of accolades, and they're telling me right now that this guy might have only made All-NBA so many times, but he was ineligible, and they don't know that, and that could skew it in that way, which I don't necessarily appreciate in any way. But I think it's something that will be adjusted. I think a big reason for that is Wemby. I think for him to not be in the conversation for Defensive Player of the Year, when there's a very good chance that he could win multiple over the course of his career. If knock on wood, I hope that, his injury, future is not consistent with what it's been, but it's not under his control at all times. It's not under us as players, our control. So I feel like to take that away from him or other guys because of health, I feel like is incorrect. Because I feel like you're saying, like we're saying, NBA players, we want to play. We don't want to sit down. We want to play. So I feel like there has to be a conversation for sure.
Yeah, I mean, you said it best. I can't even say it any better than what you just said, Reese. And we just, it's just weird. It will be so weird to see the All NBA teams come out, first team, second team, third team, and Jokić is not on there, or Giannis is not on there, or if my teammate, if Luka happened to miss some time and he's not able to be eligible because he didn't play 65 games to make All NBA, or, like you said, even more important, we're not just talking about legacies for guys of conversation, but also legacies for their families. Like, if you have an opportunity to be in a contract year where you can get the Supermax, or you can get you're eligible for an extra year and you're playing exceptional basketball, you having a career year and you play 64 games, that could be like catastrophic. Like, it'd be something that you'd be so pissed off about. Like, so, at some point, like you said, it'd be a conversation that'd be brought up again, and hopefully we can kind of figure it out and get to a better place about it, because the game is different. Like, I want people to understand, and our fans to understand, that playing 82 games in the 80s and 90s is not the same as playing 82 games in the 2020s. It's just not. The way we play, the level of pace, the level of the speed that we're playing at, it's a different game now. It's a totally different game. And, it's a lot of soft tissue injuries that's happened now because of it. I hope we can get a handle on that as well, because that's big in our game. I think when I first came into to the league, Reese, like some of the biggest concerns of injuries was like, a high ankle sprain. You was afraid to step on somebody's ankle because there was 4 or 5 guys sitting in the paint. So, guys with athleticism, myself, Tracy McGrady, Vince Carter, to name a couple guys, sometimes you're afraid to take off into the lane because it was 4 or 5 guys sitting in the paint. And if you land on somebody's ankle, you get a high ankle sprain, you out 4 to 6 weeks. Now that's not really much of you don't really see that as much now because the game is so spread open, it's so much pace. But now you see the new high ankle sprain is the calf.
Right.
So, hopefully we could get a handle on that from a medical standpoint. But it's just the game. I just want the fans to understand that the game is a little different. And, as NBA players, we definitely want to be out there as much as possible.
As someone who's lived and played across the globe, I learned what makes a flight truly exceptional. And let me tell you, Emirates economy class is the real deal. With over 260 modern aircraft connecting more than 160 destinations worldwide, Emirates has got game. I'm talking generous legroom that even a former NBA player appreciates. Their latest aircraft offers 4K HD touchscreens loaded with thousands of channels of entertainment, making these long-haul flights fly by. Plus, their generous baggage allowance means no more worrying about packing. Emirates understands that traveling can be as stressful as a playoff game. That's why they've created an experience that feels like home. The moment you spot Emirates staff at the airport, you know you're in good hands. Their crew treats every passenger like an MVP. Look, I've flown countless of airlines, but Emirates economy class, it's like having home court advantage 40,000 feet in the air. Go to Emirates.com to learn more. There's nothing like going from a relaxing airport lounge to an even more relaxing hotel, followed by dinner, a concert, and doing it all over again. With the newly enhanced American Express Platinum card, upping your travel game just got a whole lot better. There's nothing like having more time for another round of golf or soaking up some sun by the pool. With access to a suite of benefits with the largest curated global hotel program as compared to other credit card programs, I can enjoy world-class amenities with tailored service and a view to top it all off. Whether I'm escaping the cold or exploring it on the slopes, Amex Platinum takes my travel game to the next level. With an array of premium travel, dining, and entertainment benefits, all backed by American Express's award-winning service, there's nothing like Platinum. Terms apply. Learn more at americanexpress.com/withplatinum.
Let's go to a little lighter, I want to talk about one of the best experiences I've been on, having you there, having the rest of the crew there. Let's talk about the Olympics, man. I want to get your take looking back on it. How was it for you, your first Olympics, being out there? Let's just, let's tap back into the days that people didn't see, some of our practices, some of our bus rides, and then just like the competition, like our practices was crazy when we used to compete. We go out there and then all the way to us just like bringing home gold, I think our fans, they see a lot of it. Obviously there was a documentary that came out about it or whatever the case may be. That was super cool to see the insights and things of that nature. And one of my favorite quotes from the doc is when KD said, But who's guarding Steph?
Help y'all guard Steph.
yeah. But is that gonna help y'all guard Steph? And then it's funny because Steph did what he did,
right.
in those final 2 games. But let's tap back into the Olympics a little bit.
Yeah, man, what an experience! Like probably the greatest experience of my life. To be able to have that happen, being the second youngest guy on the team with Ant. Like us just being 2 of the younger dudes and just kind of soaking up all the knowledge that we could from you guys every day. I had so much fun. Like you said, the practice stories are somehow I'll never forget. I'll never forget playing 5-on-5 at the gym, the Metropolitan gym, whatever in France, and it's me, you. It it was like me, you, and Steph on the same team, and you caught the long outlet and jumped up without looking, and I was like, what is he doing? But I saw you, I'm like, oh, I think he's seeing Steph set the back pick for the three. Like, I'm like, that was the coldest moment in my basketball history. Like, to even be involved in that play. But I think there's just so many moments and so many things that I learned. And obviously, I didn't play a ton. And I have a great story. I've never told anybody this story before. So we're at the Olympics. We're in the back doing film before the Olympics start. And before it starts, it's like, all right, we're going to have the team meeting where we acknowledge that all 12 guys cannot play. And so Steve starts talking about how everybody can't play, and Bron is talking about how, in the 04 Olympics, I didn't really play that much, and you got to put your pride aside that, it's about bigger than you. And KD's over there like, at the end of the day, with 12 All-Stars, everybody's good. We're just trying to win, right? And I'm sitting there and I'm listening, I'm like, yeah. And as we start film, I'm like, but who are they talking about? Like, who are these? And I'm looking around, I'm like, oh, he ain't talking about him. He ain't talking about him. I'm like, oh, they talking about me. I'm sitting there, I'm like, oh, no, this is what it is. I was like, oh, I was sitting there, I'm watching film. I can't even pay attention to film. I'm like, damn, like, it's over. It's over, man. Oh, I get no PT out here. It's over.
I'm the one guy in the school project that didn't do nothing and got an A.
I was sitting there, I'm like, oh, it's over. It's over for me. I'm not, it's cooked. But man, like, for me to even be able to be there, and I saw you talk about that Serbia game last night. Like, bro, when I talk about that game to people, I get chills thinking about it. Man. Because you were out there. Y'all are out there. I'm on the bench and I'm sitting there like, damn. We might lose. Like,
we might lose, bro.
That was the first time. Goodness. We never felt like we were gonna lose a game ever.
Bro, I'm starting to sweat now thinking about it, bro.
Never in our whole Olympic run did we think we were gonna lose a game. Like, even we had the really close South Sudan game, and like that was right. The exhibition or whatever. I still like we winning. In London, we're not losing. That game against Serbia, we was down whatever going into the fourth.
Into the fourth.
And Steve and Ty and Spo over there, like, talking about what we're gonna do, and we all over there, and y'all just like, man, the way we just turned it up from there, and like, I still think about, I get chills thinking about like them trying to go to the clear side post for Jokić, and you fighting them in the front, and then it happens the next possession, now KD's fighting them in the front, with y'all help on the backside, like, well, we were like, it was unbelievable. I get chills thinking about that game.
It was unbelievable. I mean, it's only 10-minute quarters too, and them quarters go like that.
Quick.
Like, you know how the NBA, 12-minute quarters. You like, okay, cool. All the way up until like the 5-minute mark, you like, we still got a chance.
Yeah.
But in the Olympics, bro, like it got like under 7, under 6, and we like, if we don't make a push, bro, we're toast. Like, we're toast, and I forgot the lefty point guard's name, man, who came into the game shooting like 18% from the three-point line, bro, and was lighting our ass up.
Right.
I'm like, oh my, one of those, them the games that you lose. You like, when a guy is shooting less than 20% from the three-point line and he comes out and hit 3 or 4 to start, you like, oh my God. Oh my goodness, this is not how it's supposed to play out. But that was like you said, I said that last night when they asked me about some of the greatest games ever. That was one of the greatest games I ever played in, and to be able to share that with y'all, man, and then it's like a storybook finish. The fact that we had some truth that we may play Canada.
Right.
They got all the NBA guys on their team, and they was playing well to a certain extent, and then France was able to knock them off, and we like, what's the odds that we beat Serbia in the semis, and then we play the host team in Paris for the gold medal, man. That was a storybook finish, and the way Steph just put everybody to bed at the end of that game was insane.
I still, the image of him looking you and KD off to shoot the stage is still the craziest. And it was funny because remember, he wasn't shooting well like the whole Olympics.
No,
I remember,
he wasn't.
I forgot somebody who was playing in the Olympics didn't shoot too well from 3. And we were in the locker room and I was reading, I said it, and Steph was like, man, I ain't far off. I'm not shooting well either. And we were like, it's just gonna take one game. Like, Steph, you're Steph. Like,
it's coming. It's coming.
And then
Yep.
that Serbia game, first quarter, oh my God. And then the France game, like, it just it was like a flurry, but he was due. It's law of averages. It's
Right.
like, you're due for these moments, and it's so funny to look back and be like, it's my boy Steph, man, he just got to France. Welcome welcome him to the Olympics. Like, I think just all the stories, and what I'm most thankful for is now just the relationships that I have with all you guys. Like, it's so much deeper than the NBA, just like, you know, there's the NBA relationship where you see somebody, hey, what's up, fam? How's the fam? Everybody good? Like, you just keep it moving. Like, that's like the base level NBA relationship. I feel like I have a deeper relationship with all you guys, and that's something I'm very thankful for, to be, you know, one of the younger guys on the team.
That's super dope. That's super dope.
Thanks for watching Mind the Game. New episodes drop every other Tuesday. Remember to like, subscribe, or follow wherever you're watching.